Hi guys, how you doing? I keep saying tonight, this morning, and then I am so sorry for the last video because I told you that Patrick Frazee's whatever she is, I don't know what she is. You really can't, we're going to talk about that in a minute. But I told you that her hearing for Crystal Kenney Lee, is it Crystal Lee Kenney? Oh my gosh, that Lee, okay. Crystal Kenney, whatever the heck they're calling her. They're even throwing a fourth name in there somewhere. Was the next day. And when you guys watched that video, it was that day because I had filmed that late Thursday night. I had all intentions of getting that up. It didn't happen. So it went up on Friday. So a lot of you were a little bit confused by what I said. And you're like, no, it's today. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't get the video up. But to make up for that, I have a bit of inside news about Miss Crystal. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. I'm also going to tell you some more tidbits about Michael Peterson. And we're going to go into Anthony Brown on the Watts case. And then I have a very interesting question to ask you about regarding the Wattses. And I can't divulge too much about it because I was asked to keep it quiet. So I just want to know something because it's going to help me to better understand something. But I will get to that in a minute. And what else? And then we'll do some questions and answers. So that's what we're going to do, I think. Right? We never know what's going to happen here. No, usually I'll get to all those points, but we never know what will happen. The ramblings in between, right? So, okay, let me just make sure that I just want to get my inside scoop up here on my computer so that I have that. Okay, so let's go over the stuff for Kelsey. So Kelsey went to court and exactly what we said. She took the plea deal. She won't be sentenced until after the trial. They gave her, they said something about June, but that's just tentative. They just needed a date to put it to. If Patrick's trial is not over, if he hasn't done a plea deal or whatever, that is going to change, okay? And it can change. A lot of people are saying, well, how could she take the plea deal? You mean, she's not going to get charged with anything like this? Is she going to spend, what's she going to do? No. Her plea deal, I think it's a maximum time, 18 months or something is the maximum. Let me get it up here. But you have to understand what happened. Patrick is maintaining his innocence. We don't know what they have on him, if it's purely circumstantial. We don't know what they have on him. But apparently, getting a guilty plea from him, or getting some bigger evidence, a testimony, getting her to testify against him was more important than catching her. She was a little fish compared to him, and so they'll use that. That's what they're going to do, because he is not like Chris. I told you this. He's going to maintain his innocence. Now she's come forward and said that, I'll tell you exactly what she said in court. And all right, so we're back in Cripple Creek, Colorado, and this was yesterday, on Magic Valley. And now, if I get it up today, it's yesterday. If I get it up tomorrow, it'll be 2 days ago, so I'm just going to go. It was Friday the 8th. Cripple Creek, Colorado, a Magic Valley woman said Friday that she helped thwart an investigation into the disappearance of a Colorado woman who authorities believe was killed by her fiancé. But her motive and the nature of her relationship with the suspect killer remains a mystery. All right, so let's go on with this. This is, my messages are going to keep going off because I've got something going on a case and it's some breaking. I have some breaking news on the Kelsey Berreth case too. All right, so I don't want to call her Crystal Kenney. Crystal Jean Kenney. Okay, we lost the Lee. Now we're going under Crystal Jean Kenney. Before she had a Lee in there, remember? Okay. 32 years old. She had a date in the courtroom on Friday the 8th. And like I told you in the other video, And when she went there, she pleaded guilty to tampering with evidence connected to the death of Kelsey Berreth, who was last seen on November 22nd. We don't really know the relationship between her and Patrick, right? We don't. So it still remains a mystery. She's married to someone else, has 3 children with someone else, right? 3 children. And she's known Frazee. We can imagine there's some type of romantic involvement there because there was some rumor about it where she worked as a nurse, which she's no longer working there. The thing is, it's a different dynamic than, I know a lot of people want to lump it with the Watts case, but it's not. We don't know a lot about the relationship between Kelsey and Patrick. And there were a lot of different schools of thought of that and why this happened. I don't think that relationship was, they were not together anymore, okay? People that are not together, as I told you, are not switching a baby on Thanksgiving. They're not having custody arrangements if they're going to get married. All things point to that relationship was over. And what I think it points to is that Patrick's mother was caring for the baby while Kelsey was working as a flight instructor. I think Kelsey may have had a very short-term relationship with Patrick. She wound up pregnant from it, decided she was going to have the baby on her own even if he wasn't going to marry her. And then the baby's born, they're together but it doesn't work out, they're not compatible, whatever happens. But she wants him to see the baby, the mother's watching it, and somewhere along the end of the summer, because he was looking for people to murder her, I believe in the fall, so we're saying sometime during the summer, which is ironic because he would have then seen the Watts case, right? So it should have been like, oh, wait, I'm thinking I'm going to murder her? Didn't work so well for him, he got caught right away. But of course they think they're smarter. He gets this plan in action, and in October they're looking for something. That friend of this Crystal told the law professionals that she worked for about this, and they just said, oh, we'll have her come to us and talk to us about it. And then she said, oh no, it's over, it's changed his mind, whatever it was. And then we have him going to that lawyer with the little girl. So as I told you the last time, why is he going to bring that little girl to the lawyer's office unless he's showing some court liaison or some counselor that's involved in there, what a hands-on father he is, something so that he can get custody of this child. But maybe the mother started freaking out. They're not going to give you the custody, Patrick. What are you going to do? I'm attached to this baby. I want this baby. She's going to take this baby and she's going to go back to her parents' house. It's not right. Again, the best problem solvers in the world we've been seeing lately have decide that a good option is to kill the person. So he's not going to kill his baby because that's what they're fighting over. So he was going to have her killed, and he tried to solicit someone to kill her, but then I think he had to take it into his own hands. And then Crystal came and got rid of the evidence, which is the cell phone, and now is saying that she only did that because he was threatening her life and she was scared, which is so ridiculous because nobody had a gun to her head doing this. She worked at a hospital away from him. She was married to someone else. She could have easily stopped at the authorities, and even if he did threaten her life on the way, she was in the car alone. It's just a bunch of lies, okay? But she's scared now, okay? So that's what she's going to do. Let's go back to this. So, in a statement in court, Kenney said she learned that Frazee had killed someone around the time Berreth was last seen. I moved the victim's cell phone, she said, with the intent to impair the phone's availability in the investigation. I had no right or authority to move the victim's cell phone, she said. According to Kenney's statement, she moved the phone between November 24th and November 25th. But you know what? She doesn't admit to sending those texts. So who sent the texts? Right? She moved the phone. You did a lot more. She's still lying. She faces up to 3 years in prison, but prosecutors said Kenney will not be sentenced until all trials related to Berreth's disappearance are completed, and Judge Scott Sells indicated that could take months or years. She will remain free in the meantime. She must attend periodic court hearings. Her agreement with prosecutors also prevents her from speaking with the media. Police have still not found Kelsey's body, and evidence suggests she was killed at her home in the Woodland Park area, a mountain town near Colorado Springs. Kenney, also known as Crystal Lee, was the 2008 rodeo queen of the Magic Valley and worked as a pre-op nurse at St. Luke's Magic Valley Medical Center. She was well known in the Magic Valley. The rodeo queen. St. Luke's spokeswoman Michelle Bartolome confirmed in January that law enforcement had contacted the hospital. However, she wasn't in a position to disclose which agency made contact. She confirmed Monday that Kenney is no longer a St. Luke's employee. Bye, Crystal Lee Kenney. Berreth, who worked as a flight instructor, was last seen on surveillance footage we know at the grocery store with her daughter. That was on November 22nd. Frazee told police he and Berreth met later that day to exchange their daughter. The couple did not live together. Police say several text messages were sent from Berreth's phone in the days following Thanksgiving, including a message sent to her employer asking for a week off of work. Location data suggests that by November 25th, the phone was near Gooding, nearly 800 miles from Berreth's house and 40 miles from where Kenney lived. Police didn't start searching for Berreth until December 2nd, when her mother became concerned after several days without hearing from her daughter. Berreth's mother called police from her home in Idaho to request that someone check on her daughter. The Twin Falls County Sheriff's Office and the Twin Falls Police Department confirmed on the December 22nd statement that the agencies were contacted by the FBI on December 15th. The two agencies and a joint special investigation unit assisted the FBI in obtaining the search warrants, served multiple search warrants, and processed some items of evidence related to Berreth's disappearance, the statement said. Since Frazee's arrest in late December, authorities have released very little information, which is, it's infuriating, but now it's going to start opening up here. And they led to the charges against him. Key court documents have been sealed. Frazee has entered a plea in the charges of murder and solicitation of murder. He's due back in court February 19th. The State Public Defender's Office, which is representing him, has said its attorneys will not comment on ongoing cases. Prosecutors said Frazee sought to find someone to kill Berreth between September and November. Authorities said in December that additional charges could follow Frazee's arrest, but there was no public activity until this week when prosecutors charged Kenney. They still have not disclosed the nature of the relationship between Kenney and Frazee. Okay, so you want the news? Okay, this comes from a close source to the case. This comes from a source that has been right about many things relating to this case. Crystal Kenney Lee is pregnant. And this is not one of those NK pregnant deals. Crystal Kenney Lee is pregnant. Now, whether it is Frazee's child or her husband's child, don't know, but I think most people are saying it's going to be Frazee's. It's not been divulged by the media yet, but you'll see. So, whose baby is it? Don't know. You know, some people said, oh, well, that's the motive for the murder. She wanted Kelsey's life. But see, that's what a lot of people are missing. Kelsey and Patrick were not together. And it wasn't that she wanted Kelsey's life. This was about custody of that child. This was not about her wanting to stay with him, and it wasn't a mistress because he wasn't married to Kelsey. I think their relationship was over. When a relationship is over and he's involved with someone else, that's not his mistress. Okay? Now, in her case, she was married. So Frazee, with her husband, yeah, she's cheating on him. But the other way around, no. I believe wholeheartedly that Kelsey and Patrick were finished and they were just deciding custody, and I believe that Kelsey probably wanted to move somewhere else because she had moved there only for Patrick. That relationship is over. she probably wants to move on, maybe back home, maybe have her mother take care of the baby, maybe there were issues with the mother-in-law taking care of the child and all of that. So I think that's when things got heated. That's why he was already seeing that lawyer. There was already going to be this battle for custody. And there's a lot of things they're not releasing, but you can read between the lines and see this. So yes, it's a totally different situation than the Wattses, because that was this triangle, and this was not about Kelsey or Crystal. This was about the baby, and this is about Kaylee. Now, the parents went to court the day before, and they were granted, they can continue the temporary custody. Patrick's mother was fighting, but she didn't win this. And I think their next hearing is in April on it. And Patrick was brought in for that. He came in a bulletproof vest. I don't understand. It's cold in Colorado, and he doesn't even have any type of a jacket on, just his short sleeve prison jumpsuit, or is it a two-piece? I don't know. It's green and white. And he looks like, has anybody noticed, it looks like on the side of his head, he's got I don't know whether he always had that, his hair is not in, it's almost like he has scars, and then the hair didn't grow back. I wonder what that's about. You think that could be anything from the murder? Did he get cut or scratched or anything? Have any of you noticed that on the side of his head when they're taking him to the car, he's got a couple, at least 3, it almost looks like slices or something, and there's no hair growing there. It's like it's scar tissue. So I don't know. Has anybody seen that? Anybody that knows him, is that normal for him? The first time he came to court, it looked like he hadn't even washed his hair. Now he at least is washing his hair, but he's got something going on there. So I don't know what that's about. And that's the big news, okay, for the Crystal. And I don't think she'll get any jail time. If she testifies and they're able to get him either into a plea deal or into a guilty plea, or use her to, seal the case, she's not going to get any jail time. I really don't believe so. I don't believe so. They're going to sacrifice her to get him. And what else was I going to say? Okay, let me see here. So let's go, and let me tell you something about, let's go back on the Peterson case for a second. Okay, now Michael Peterson was into some trouble before the staircase. Okay, so his wife Patricia, in an interview, said she's known Michael Peterson as well and as long as anyone but his siblings. 50 years, she said. He is innocent of any involvement in Kathleen's death. He just couldn't do it and wouldn't do it, she said. I listened as we stood in the public place. Barista noise, people with kids, squeaky shopping carts, canned music on lousy speakers. Miss Peterson said she recognized that many people might not agree with her. She said everyone should search for the truth and truths in general. I acknowledged her words for a good bit without speaking myself. This is the interview, okay? I knew and loved Kathleen, Patricia said. She knew and loved his new wife. She told me she'd taken flowers and cards to the Maplewood Cemetery gravesite many times. She said she knew a lot about Michael and Kathleen's life as a couple. That sounds a little bit stalkerish, doesn't it? She knew a lot about Michael and Kathleen's life as a couple? She later added, in her view, Peterson also did not kill Elizabeth Ratliff in Germany so many years ago. Liz Ratliff was found near the bottom of a set of stairs in her home in 1985. The death was called a homicide in 2003, with severe wounds to the head after her body was exhumed in Texas and then an autopsy by the North Carolina Medical Examiner's Office. Miss Peterson said Miss Ratcliffe was a dear friend of hers. I suffered from losing both Liz and Kathleen, she said. There was more Miss Peterson brought up the so-called owl theory, she indicated only that an owl might have caused some of Kathleen Peterson's terrible injuries. It's a theory that has not gained credence. Who would think that, right? I would have thought that would be a slam dunk, that owl theory. Never gained credence. Still, I've always believed he didn't do this. And I always will. She can foretell the future. She always will. Patricia said she hardly ever communicates with her former husband, but added that they have the continuing bond of their children. Okay. She hardly ever communicates with her former husband, but a minute ago she was very, very close and she knew the intimate details of their relationship, right? Okay. We talked of Miss Peterson's retirement about 18 months ago after teaching elementary-age children in the Department of Defense at or around the U.S. bases in Germany for more than 30 years. Things are much more quiet now. I'm back now living in the same house in Durham. She told the interviewer that she's resting, exercising, and going through a life transition. As the conversation began to ease, Miss Peterson said she heard about this interviewer's latest column on her ex-husband's case, where I explained what a plea deal might mean and not mean. Patricia indicated that she had become aware recently of something I also learned in the last 10 days or so. The latest assessment, at least at that time, was that there would likely be another trial. Plea negotiations had stalled, we both heard, in confidence. I've learned some of the details as to why, however the plea status could change at any moment, right up until the time the trial started or even before this column runs. If the impasse continues, I understand a second trial might be scheduled to start next spring. I did ask Patricia if she had a problem with me writing about our talk due to the unexpected circumstances. I felt it appropriate to gain her clear consent to have this on the record. Mrs. Peterson, absolutely. You didn't have to ask me. It's part of your job. Okay. Okay. Now regarding... Okay. And this is from the Court of Appeals of North Carolina, State of North Carolina versus Michael Peterson. And this is from September 19th, 2006, almost 5 years after Kathleen's death. So this is going to give us some information about this case. So let's read what it says here in this court document, because these court documents give a lot of information. If you read them in the Watts Discover, you'll see what they send out to get warrants to get information off of devices, give you a really good background on the case if you're catching up. Okay, so on December 2001 at 2:40 a.m., a defendant called the City of Durham's 911 center from his residence. We have that 911 call on the other video if you want to listen to that. He stated that his wife, Kathleen Peterson, had fallen down the stairs. Defendant further stated that she was unconscious, but still breathing. Defendant hung up and then called back to 911 a short time later, claiming that Kathleen was not breathing. Approximately 7 to 8 minutes after the defendant's 911 call, the initial one, not the callback, James Rose and Ron Page, paramedics with the Durham County Emergency Medical Services, arrived at the Peterson residence. The defendant's son, Todd Peterson, arrived at the same time as the paramedics. Now that's Todd. We're going to look into Todd. Okay? He arrived at the same time. The Peterson home is a large estate with an open foyer entrance. The paramedics found the front door open and noticed blood on it. Straight ahead through the front door is a large main staircase heading to the second floor. Immediately to the left, after entering, however, is a front hallway leading down to the kitchen. Off of this hallway near the kitchen is an enclosed, narrow stairway, also leading to the second floor. Upon entering the house, the paramedics obtained Kathleen laying on the bottom of the stairwell. Her legs were out into the hallway, and her head was just inside the encased open door frame, where the first few steps are located. The stairwell runs parallel to the hallway, but has a few angled steps at the bottom designed to open up the staircase perpendicular to the hallway. Defendant was seen standing over Kathleen in a semi-knees bent position, with blood on his hands, arms, legs, and feet, his shorts and t-shirt partially blood-soaked with splatter spots. When paramedics arrived at Kathleen's body, Todd, okay, the son, remember? The son is there, tried to pull the defendant away, stating, "Dad, she's dead." The paramedics are here. Paramedics Rose and Page quickly determined that Kathleen had no pulse and was not breathing. Defendant stated that he had gone outside to turn off the lights and came back in and found her at the bottom of the steps. Paramedic Rose testified that there was an enormous amount of blood involved. He saw dried blood on the steps and also on the wall, and it also looked like it had been wiped away or wiped on. It had been smeared, instead of just blood droplets just soaking down the wall. He testified that based on his experience, there was an unusual amount of blood for a fall, and the most severe injury he had ever seen from a fall was a broken neck. The blood under Kathleen's head had already clotted and started to harden. Later that day, Dr. Deborah Radish, a pathologist with the Office of the North Carolina Medical Examiner, performed an autopsy on Kathleen's body and determined the cause of death to be blunt force trauma of the head. The autopsy revealed multiple contusions and abrasions on the head and neck, 7 distinct lacerations on the posterior scalp, and contusions and abrasions on the arms, wrists, and hands. Also on the day, Investigator A.H. Holland Jr., a member of the Criminal Investigation Unit Division of the Durham Police Department, applied for and received a search warrant to search the Petersons' residence. The warrant stated that the property to be seized included inter alia, fingerprints, bloodstains, physical layout and measurements of the premises, documentary evidence indicating ownership, and moving pictures, video, and still pictures to preserve the nature of the crime scene. Investigators Holland's affidavit supporting probable cause included the following underlying facts. The applicant has been a law enforcement officer for more than 19 years. I am currently assigned to the homicide unit of the Criminal Investigation Unit of the Durham Police Department, and I have been an investigator with the Durham Police Department since 1989, and during this time I have been assigned to conduct follow-up investigations of child sexual abuse, adult rape, and aggravated assault and homicide. So on December 9th, 2001, Investigator Holland was paged by the on-call CID supervisor, Fran Borden, in reference to a death investigation at the Peterson residence, okay? Kathleen, age 47, fell down a flight of stairs, and there was a large amount of blood present at the scene. At 3:59 a.m., the investigator arrived at the house, and prior to entering the front door, he observed blood on the sidewalk that leads to the front door. Upon entering the front door, he noticed blood on the outside of the door. Sergeant Terry Wilkins advised that the victim's husband had blood all over his person. I saw the victim at a distance, but did not approach. At this point, the investigator made his decision to obtain the search warrant. On the 10th of December, Investigator Holland applied for and received a second search warrant. The warrant stated the premises to be searched as defendant's residence, along with 4 vehicles on the first warrant. The probable cause for the second warrant simply repeated the probable cause from the affidavit for the first warrant. Okay, so on December 12th, Investigator Holland applied for and received a third search warrant to search the defendant's residence. That warrant stated that the property to be seized included all of the items from the previous warrant, as well as computers, CPUs, files, software, accessories, and any and all of the evidence that may be associated with this investigation. The only additional probable cause listed in the Investigator Holland's application for the search warrant was the following statement. After conferring with the District Attorney's Office and the State Medical Examiner's Office, this applicant has probable cause to believe that additional evidence remains at the residence. And yes, there was. At trial, the state evidence relative to motive tended to show that Kathleen had worked at Nortel Networks Helen Prislinger, a process analyst and project manager for Nortel Networks, reported directly to Kathleen. Mrs. Prislinger testified that Kathleen telephoned her on the 8th of December at about 11:08 p.m. Mrs. Prislinger informed Kathleen that she had documents to email her for a meeting coming up that Sunday in Canada, and Kathleen asked someone in the room for an email address and gave it to Mrs. Prislinger. Okay, so remember, she had to go up to the computer, right? Todd Markley, a lead consultant for CompuSleuth, which performs forensic processing and investigation, testified as an expert in forensic computer examination. He examined a disk drive from the defendant's computer and identified an email sent on the 8th of December at 11:53 p.m. from Mrs. Prislinger. He could not determine if the email had been read, but was pretty confident that the attached documents were not extracted. It's making it sound as if she found something before she even got the document, right? And it also sounds like Kathleen does not do a lot of work on that computer, at least emailing, because she had to ask for an email address. If she had a home email address and was always there retrieving something, it would be something she wouldn't have to ask someone for an email address, right? So that's a little strange. It makes it sound like she only used her email from work, and maybe she wasn't on the home computer a lot, which might be the reason that she found this stuff. Mr. Markley also testified that he received a large volume of pictures of sexual activity that were on the computer as a result of web browsing. The state introduced numerous emails between the defendant and Brad Wolgamott, a male escort. In these emails with Mr. Wolgamott, defendant attempted to set up a time to hook up with Brad. Let's call him Brad, not Mr. Wolgamott. With Brad, and also indicated that the defendant understood that he would be paying for sexual services. Don't be thinking I work for free, okay? And there's no trials. No free trials, Mr. Peterson. You're going to be paying for these services. I'm a high commodity. I'm a highly sought commodity. The state further introduced an email dated the 23rd of February 2001 from Dick Yates. Okay, this is that guy that has that resort and everything that Peterson was recommending to Brad, an operator of a web service dealing in homosexual pornography. The state also introduced numerous papers that were collected by the police from the defendant's den or study area. This paperwork included naked photographs of Brad, escort reviews of Brad, and printouts of emails between the defendant and Brad discussing the defendant paying Brad for his sexual services. The paperwork was intermingled with other various paperwork, including a tax appraisal of the defendant's residence, Kathleen's cell phone bill from Sprint, and Kathleen's flex benefit confirmation statement from Nortel. Regarding the Petersons' finances and Kathleen's job status at Nortel Networks, Raymond Young, a special agent, certified public accountant and certified fraud examiner from the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation, testified that at the time of Kathleen's death, the value of the Petersons' major assets was about $1.6 million. On the Petersons' 1999, 2000, and 2001 tax returns, defendants had no taxable income from employment. Kathleen Kaiser, an administrator at the Nortel Networks, testified that in 2001, Kathleen earned $145,000, plus a bonus of $10,750. At Nortel, she obtained the following stock options. Okay, so she had stock options, and they go into all the different shares. Now, emails recovered from the defendant's computer also related to the Petersons' finances. One email was from the defendant to his ex-wife, Patty Peterson, asking her to pay a portion of their son's living expenses, and another was an email from Thomas Ratcliffe to the defendant on April 19, 2001, responding to the defendant's request that Thomas pay $5,000 per semester for Martha Ratcliffe's college expenses, and I'll read you those emails. Okay, so here's the email From Michael Peterson to Patricia Peterson, the subject was the boys, so Clayton and Todd. Thursday, November 29th, 2001. This is mere days before the murder of Kathleen, right? Patty. Let me add a little more to the idea of a home equity loan and the boys' plight. Right now, Clayton is paying about $750 a month in interest on his credit card debt. He will earn about $1,300 from North Carolina State with his teaching fellowship. His rent is $700 a month plus expenses. He can't afford to live. Todd's probably paying about $300 a month. Thus, the boys are paying $1,000 a month in interest and not reducing the principal. If you got a home equity loan of about $30,000, you would only have to pay somewhere around $400 a month, even less if you didn't want to reduce the principal. This is so funny. He's like such an enabler. So he's telling his ex-wife to get a home equity loan because he has tremendous credit card debt. The boys are in credit card debt now, and now he wants the ex-wife to get a home equity loan to help the boys out of their debt. So daddy to the rescue again, right? So yeah, they can't live. They can't afford to live. Why can't they live with daddy? I don't know. If you could handle that, they could live nicely. So he wants them to live nicely. You know, they shouldn't have to say, they should live nicely. You put yourself out on a limb, put your house out there, you know. Yeah. Go get a home equity loan on it. Come on, hurry up. If you could handle that, they could live nicely. I would help if you need it. Well, why aren't you helping now? Why don't you go get a freaking home equity loan? Certainly when Todd's car is paid off at $500 a month in another 2 years, I could pick up your payments if they don't do it themselves. Why is Todd paying $500 a car that he obviously can't afford when, I can imagine, because I can imagine he has to have a certain car to have a certain status. Okay, I get it now. In another 2 years, I could pick up your payments if they don't do it themselves, so he's going to come to the rescue again. Are you going to pay Mom back for that? No, we'd rather not. We're going to spend our money on, Clayton's looking at some other stuff. He's looking to upgrade his car. And we really don't feel like paying Mom back, but you can do it, Dad. All right? I haven't really sold a book or anything, and with Kathleen's death, I can't really make any money because her daughter filed a wrongful death suit on me. I'm not going to be able to help Patty out after all. She might lose the house, Dad. You boys should really help her out. Dad, we've got an image to uphold here. We need some new cars, clothes, and stuff. We just can't be paying that home equity loan. You made the deal with Mom. See if you can earn some money under the table. I honestly think this is the best way to help the boys out, because I think they've learned their lesson. So now we've got Todd's in trouble too, right? Todd, Clayton, you learned your lesson? Okay, so we're going to help you out again. We're going to bail you out again here. Yeah, I'm going to enable you some more. It's good, right? Okay. Please let me know what you think. It would be a huge relief off of my mind because I'm worried sick about them. It's simply not possible for me to discuss this with Kathleen. So maybe Kathleen would be like, what? Right? What the heck? Yeah, he simply can't just, she's not the enabler you are, Patty. You know, you and I were great enablers. You know, when Clayton was building those pipe bombs and stuff, we were great enablers. So, I can't talk about this to Kathleen. Doesn't want me to enable him. No. So, this woman, I wonder if she did this, and then a few days after that, he is accused of killing his wife, and then, well, I guess it's just tough luck on her. She's got to take care of that loan and forget about what he said, because he's not earning any money. Okay, so then on December 3rd, 2001, Michael Peterson to Thomas Ratliff. Now he is a relation of the girls, and I believe he's the paternal grandfather. So it says, subject, what closet have you been hiding in? Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? What closet have you been hanging in? What closet have you been hiding in? Are you still in the closet? Closet have you been? I wonder if that's like a covert. Do you think there was some type of relationship there? That's kind of weird. It's what closet have you been hanging in? And then he's talking about South Beach. I have heard South Beach was straightening out. It's a beautiful place, but we just drove through it. By the way, I never pushed around a ferry in elementary school or anywhere else. Even in the Marines, there were only about okay. Yes, this is interesting. Even in the Marines, there was only a couple queer bashers, and the rest of us thought that there had to be something wrong with them, along the lines of Shakespeare's, "Methinks the Lady doth protest too much." The girls are coming home in a few weeks. Clayton graduates, number 1, the valedictorian from North Carolina State in computer engineering. While a while back, I would guarantee a great job, but who knows these days? Okay, so Clayton got his, let's hope Clayton stays together. And so, he got out of the pen, and then he went to North Carolina and majored in computer engineering and graduated the valedictorian, so good for him. He should be able to get a job, why not, and pay for his own expenses and his credit card debt. Goes on to say, poor Kathleen is undergoing the tortures of the damned at Nortel. They laid off 45,000 people. She's a survivor and in no trouble, but stress is monumental there. Patty comes in for the holidays, and that's always stressful too. I hope you can find some place for your mom. It's only a matter of time before Connie won't be able to handle it. Martha has a great gay friend in San Francisco. Very, very wealthy. The family lives across from Britney Spears. I told her to marry him. Anyway. Or maybe set him up with you, Mike. Okay, so we have a man here, Thomas Ratliff. Okay. Who he's writing to and is either bisexual or homosexual, right? And I'm not sure how he figures into Elizabeth Ratliff. Let's see here. Okay, there's a, did you know Brad made an appearance on The Price is Right? And then from Michael Peterson to Mail Vault, M-A-L-E, admin, I want to cancel immediately. I can't recall my ID subscriber. Please let me know how I can get it so I can cancel. I've signed up for the Dick Yates and I want to cancel the Mail Vault. Okay? And then there's another underneath that, and it says, from Mail Vault and Min to Michael Peterson, I have canceled your membership through iBill. For you, there will be no further charges for your credit card, although you will still have access to the site until 3/6/2001. Thank you for spending time with us, and I hope to see you again in the future. Best wishes, Buzz. Some of Michael Peterson's favorite websites: Jock Club, Young Studs, Euro Military, Marine Meat, Dirty Land, Real Time Traders, Active Duty, Steel Blade, Dick Yates Live. There's many more. Okay, well, he asked the one of the relatives to pay for one of the girls' partial payment of, to chip in for some of their education. So I said Michael had some trouble before. So now, in May of 1983, Michael and Patty paid a visit to Pat and her husband Joseph in Berlin. Okay? That's when they were overseas still. Mike took the opportunity to steal Pat Finn's bank card, but he needed a PIN number to use it. While Pat took a shower, Mike crept into her bedroom and rummaged through her drawers in search of her personal code. He found it, and over the next 4 days, he withdrew the maximum each day for a total of $1,000. You going to take a shower, Pat? You okay down here? Need coffee? Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, just gonna go rummage through your drawers and look for your PIN number. All right. What a guy. The Finns went back to the States for summer break after that visit. All the mail addressed to them in Germany was held until their return. They received a letter at their U.S. address from Michael. He claimed that the babysitter who watched, you're never going to see where Clayton gets this. He claimed that the babysitter who watched the children, their children together, his and hers, at the Finn's house, stole money from his wallet. Pat thought the accusation was absurd. She knew the girl well. She was the daughter of the vice principal of the school where Pat worked. So that's the same kind of thing, okay? I'm going to take their money. I want to make it look authentic like his son, right? I want it to look authentic, so of course with the views and everything. Let me just tell him the babysitter took my money. That'll be good. So then when their money's missing, they're going to be like, oh, Mike said that babysitter took his money. I didn't think he was telling the truth, but he must be right. Okay. Great example for the kids. Upon her return to Germany, Pat found a statement from her bank and noticed that the balance was off by about $1,000. She assumed the bank had made an error and went to the office to straighten it out, and they pointed to 4 $250 drafts made in May. Pat insisted she never used that card. Someone had, they told her. Then she realized that the dates of the transactions corresponded with the time Mike and Patty visited. The revelation made her sick at heart. Can't believe him. She had noticed that on every previous visit, something had been missing from her home. It was never anything of value. A paperback book, a small trinket. Kleptomaniac he is. We're going to add that. Kleptomaniac. And she did not want to suspect her friends. Can you imagine that? You want to have Mike and Patty over again? I don't know. Every time they come over, something's missing. You really think it's him? Every time we come over, something's missing. I'll watch him really good this time. All right. If you suspected that, what the heck are you going to go take a shower and leave him alone for? I don't know. Kind of crazy. She even overlooked the time that German marks disappeared from her purse when she visited the Petersons in Durham. It wasn't a significant amount, and it wasn't anything she could prove. This time was different. On the advice of her banker, she told Mike that since her card had been stolen, and he lost money too, that there was going to be a thorough investigation of the theft. Mike, realizing the police would be involved, admitted what he'd done and agreed to pay her back. No. Let's not get, no need for that. Let's not get the police involved. I was going to tell you, okay, just slipped my mind. When you were in the shower, I got your PIN number because I was rummaging around in your bedroom, and I matched that with the credit card that I'd already taken from you. Okay, and over the next 4 days, I withdrew the maximum amount from your bank account. And then I decided, well, just in case I wasn't going to come clean, I'm going to call you up and tell you that the babysitter stole money from my wallet. Who are we kidding here? I wasn't going to come clean until you threatened me with the police. At first, neither of them shared this information with Patty. Please don't tell Patty. I'm hiding so much from her already. Please don't. Let's not bring this over here. There's much bigger things I'm hiding from Patty, so she's not even going to care about this. One day, Patty called Pat and said she would like to visit her. Pat said, "Patty, you're always welcome in my home, but when you come, please leave your husband and children at home." I guess the boys were doing some mischief too. Didn't want Clayton over here with any of those pipe bombs, and we don't know what Todd's doing. Yep. A stunned Patty asked, "What is this all about?" And then Pat says, "You need to talk to your husband about it." Pat did not hear from Patty again for a long time. She received a payment from Michael and another from Patty, but they never paid the amount in full. More than the money, though, Pat was stung by the betrayal. It was the rudest awakening of her life, so he couldn't even pay the neighbor back the money he took from them. So money problems were something that plagued them for a long time in both marriages. Okay, so when they were home from Europe for good, Mike Peterson was ready to purchase a home that suited his lofty position as a New York Times bestselling author. He had quite a bit of money to invest. He still had a great deal of his $600,000 advance for a time of war, and he'd received additional funds when NBC acquired an option on that book. On top of that, the agent sold his unfinished manuscript, Peace and Reparations, to Simon & Schuster for a $450,000 advance. He found the perfect home in the heart of the Forest Hills neighborhood at the corner of Cedar and Kent Streets. Built in 1940, it's 10,000 square feet, made it the largest home in Durham. It boasted 14 rooms, including 6 bedrooms, a striking spiral staircase in the front of the house, and another unique staircase in the back, an elaborate swimming pool. The value of the home was listed as $1.2 million, and Peterson knew he could get it for a lot less. There was just one catch. He did not get a regular paycheck, and the bank wanted the signatures of his wife, Patty, on the loan. Patty balked. She wanted nothing to do with that house. Michael took her out to Reno to visit his parents. He prevailed upon them to help him make Patty come to her senses. I need Patty to come to her senses. Do you think we can do that quietly, or do you think we're going to have to rough her up a little bit? Sounds crazy. Michael had not been able to persuade her, but the pleas of his parents did the trick. "Please, Patty, please, we can't take him anymore. Just do it. We'll take care of you on the side. We'll take care of it. Just do it. We'll make it worth your while." Patty signed on that dotted line. The deal was closed on July 7th, 1992. Although Patty's name was on the deed, Mike moved into the home with Kathleen Atwater. All right, thanks. That's crazy, isn't it? All right, thanks for signing the loan, Patty. I'm going to move in here now with my new girlfriend. All right, bye. Thanks. Although Patty's name was on the deed, Mike moved into the home with Kathleen Atwater. Living with them were Margaret and Martha Ratcliffe, Caitlin Atwater, and Clayton Peterson, who had just returned from Germany after graduating from Frankfurt High School. He enrolled as an engineering student at Duke University. This is right prior to him with the pipe bomb. The move to Cedar Street created a rift in Kathleen's family. Her sister Candace thought she was wrong to live with a married man when there were children involved, and the two sisters did not speak for more than a year. Years later, Mike gave Patty full ownership of their other house in Durham in exchange for giving him full ownership of this one. Now, even though she was living there, it was in 1992, he didn't divorce Patty until 1996. And then they married in 1997. That's a cozy arrangement. Okay, so you can listen to this on audio, and I did do that. I'll look at the transcript here. On Thursday, August 30th, 2018, Colorado Bureau of Investigation Field Agent Greg Zentner interviewed Anthony Brown in connection with the Watts homicide case. Brown was identified as a co-worker of Chris Watts at Anadarko. So he was interviewed at the office location at 501 North Division Boulevard, Plateville, Colorado. Brown worked with Chris Watts in the oil fields for Anadarko. The interview was recorded. Brown said that he first met Chris Watts when Brown was hired by Anadarko in August 2016, so 2 years before the murders. Brown said Watts was assigned to train Brown on how to check the oil wells on his route. Brown said Watts started talking to him about 6 months after Brown was hired. Brown said this was mainly because of the house explosion in Firestone in 2017, and if you haven't seen the Firestone house explosion, you should check it out. It's quite a crazy scene. It looks, almost like where the Wattses live, and his house just exploded, and Anadarko was at fault for it, so check that out. Brown said that after the explosion, Anadarko started having more team meetings, and that was when Brown said he and Watts started to become friends. Brown said they mainly spoke about their fantasy sports, but after a while, Watts started to talk about his 2 daughters. Brown said Watts mentioned that both of his daughters had some medical issues, but Brown didn't know exactly what kind of medical issues they were. Brown also said that Watts spoke about Thrive and a little bit about Shanann Watts, Chris's wife. Brown said he never met Shanann, and Watts never spoke to him about any type of marital issues they were having. Brown said Watts mentioned that Shanann was gone on a business trip about every other month for her Thrive business, and Brown described Watts as very quiet and the go-to guy at work. He said Watts was always calm, cool, collected. Remember that, Chris? Calm, cool, collected. I haven't seen 1 ounce of violence in that guy. Brown said he was also friends with Watts on Facebook, and he said there were usually 5 to 6 posts a day on Watts' Facebook feed. And these posts appeared to come from Shanann updating his Facebook account. Well, we know that. She was selling the Thrive for him. Remember, she was building a business under him too? And that's how he got the car bonus, but they were taking $300 in the cash value of per month. Ron said he never hung out with Watts outside of work. Brown said he and some of the other workers at Anadarko invited Watts to come and play poker with them every other weekend. Brown said Watts never took them up on the offer. Why not? He would have had a great poker face. Could have been his calling. Okay, so let's see here. Watts never took them up on the offer, and they stopped asking him to come after Watts turned them down several times. You want to ask Watts again? He always turns us down. You sure? I asked him 5 times. All right, let's get somebody else. Brown said Watts went to North Carolina during the first week of August 2018, and that when Watts came back from his trip on August 7th, Brown said that the last time he saw Watts was on Wednesday, August 8th. Brown thought Watts took off work on August 9th and 10th to take Shanann to the airport and to watch his children. Brown said he knew Watts was at work on Monday, August 13th, but he never saw Watts because he said he was going out to Survey 319 and check a leak in the dump line. But he knew there were already 5 other people from his team going to that site on Monday morning. Brown said he knew that Chris Watts, Troy McCoy, Cody Roberts, Melissa, Chad McNeil were at Survey 319, so he didn't go there. Brown said on Monday, August 13th, he arrived at the Anadarko offices in Plateville at about 6:10 a.m. And Brown said he went to the break room and then to Luke Eppel's office. Brown said at some point he overheard part of a conversation that Chad McNeil was having with someone on the phone. And Brad said that he later learned that McNeil was speaking to Watts. Brown said he heard McNeil talking to Watts and Watts going directly to the field first thing that morning instead of coming to the office. Brown said he thought that was very unusual because Watts always came to the office first before going out in the field. Brown said that he could not remember a time when Watts went straight to the field and didn't come to the office first thing in the morning. Yeah, and that's exactly where I heard that. And then it was NK that was saying, oh, well, it's not completely unusual. It's unusual, but it's not completely out of the question that he never went there or something. And I said, this is the guy I heard it from. Brown said the first time he heard anything happening to Watts' family was on Tuesday, August 14th. Brown said that he saw on the group email at work that Watts was not coming to work that day. Brown said he initially didn't think anything about it, and Brown said that he and McCoy went to a location to turn on the well when McCoy said something to him about Watts' family going missing. And then Brown thought this was at about 8 a.m. When they were at the Roland Arndt 28-4 location, Brown said that McCoy told him that Watts was getting ready to go do an interview on the television about his family missing. Brown said he immediately reactivated his Facebook account. Brown had previously deactivated the account because it was a waste of his time. He started posting the stories he could find about the Watts family and asking everyone he knew to be on the lookout for them. Brown said that he and McCoy talked about the situation, and McCoy told Brown that Watts had been having issues with Shanann, and Watts had been sleeping on the couch recently. Brown said that he was not aware of any of these issues the Wattses were having in their marriage. Brown said that McCoy told him that Chris had told him that Shanann had taken off her wedding ring and left it on the counter before she disappeared. I thought it was the nightstand. Brown said that he and McCoy speculated that Shanann had left Watts and she took the two girls with her. Brown said they even speculated that Shanann had met someone while she was on one of her business trips for Thrive. Yeah, okay. Brown said McCoy also told him that Watts said Shanann didn't take any clothes or medicine for the girls. But I'm still thinking she met somebody and just decided she didn't need anything from her old life. Brown said he didn't have any contact with Watts on Tuesday, August 14th. Brown said Watts made a comment to him about 2 months ago, which Brown thought was unusual. Brown said he and Watts were at a location called Arrowhead Farms, and they were in the process of getting the site ready for pumping oil again. Brown said Watts told him that he and Shanann were expecting a baby. Brown said he told Watts, "Congratulations." And Watts said in return, "You want one?" Brown said Watts made the comment with no emotion, and Watts didn't appear to be very excited about having another baby. And he was really broken up about this because apparently him and his wife have been trying to have another child, and it's not working out. She's had several miscarriages. And so, he couldn't believe that Chris was so cavalier, and if it was a joke, it didn't seem like a joke, and now looking back on it, it seemed very eerie. He started to break down in this interview, this Anthony Brown. So if you haven't listened to it, you should try to listen to it. Brown said he thought Watts was offering him their baby. Brown said that he thought Watts was kidding, but Brown said that after the recent incidents surrounding Watts, Brown wondered if Watts was being serious about giving away his baby. Okay, so Anthony Brown says, you know what, I think he's having something at the office with this NK. And I actually saw him standing by the break room talking together with her. They were standing extremely close, and it just didn't look right. And I believe that was about 5 months ago that I started noticing that. And that was that transcript, but you can listen to it. He goes on about that joke, not so much joke about giving the baby away. Try to listen to that and see what you think. Oh, before we do that, I want to take a small poll. So stop writing everything in the live chat. Just stop, because you're gonna have to just put yes or no, yes or no, yes or no, yes or no. All right, let me just go over here. I want to ask a question regarding something. People are feeling so strongly about Cindy and Ronnie Watts, right? I want to ask something. If they had not come out and said the things about Shanann that they did, if they had not given those interviews, if they had not done any of that stuff during the interrogations, would you have a different feeling about them? So you write that down. If you hadn't heard that, there were any issues, you hadn't heard that they didn't go to the wedding and that they didn't go to the birthday party, you didn't know about the nut incident, and then just hear about the murders, would you have a different opinion than you do now? Yes or no? Put that down. Okay. Now, knowing what you do know, would you have a different opinion in that they can redeem themselves if they came out and made a public apology. Said that they were wrong to do what they did, and that no matter what Shanann was doing, whether she was dictating where every picture should go on the wall, or where the clothes should be hung, or whatever she was doing, okay, that in no way would be a reason for Chris to do what he did. And if they went on and said that they're sorry about that, and they'd like to reach out to the Rusak family and speak with them, try to have some kind of healing, would you feel more favorable about them? So yes or no. And do you think that doing something like that would be the first step toward having some peace from the whole thing and lessening the animosity that's directed toward them because of what they're doing? Yes or no? And then, in closing, is there anything else you would want to see from the Watts family, all three of them, in regard to this and what's happened, in order to make some type of amends to the family and to the general public that's come to know Shanann and, been staunchly defending her? Is there anything besides that they could do that would make your opinion of them more favorable, give them another chance, something like that? Just put that down, and I'll tell you that this all relates to something. Okay? And I need to see those answers, and then we'll talk about more about that. But suffice it to say that yes, I need to know that, and yes, it is regarding a conversation I'm having. So just write that down. All right, now let's go to your questions and answers. No, let's go to questions and I'll give you the answers. Oh, and I just want to say a special, because I couldn't tag Linda yesterday, but Linda, who's a member of our community, Linda West, I just want to say she suffered a heart attack. Thankfully, I don't think it was, a heart attack is never a good thing, but she was able to go home from what I understand and is going in for either an evaluation or procedure on Tuesday. And so if you all want to say some prayers for her, she's a little bit of a, it's a little bit of a stressful weekend for her going through this, and finding out that she had a heart attack is quite shocking, but going through that. And so, if you'd like to offer up your thoughts and prayers for her, I'm sure she would appreciate it. And of course, Linda. And I just want to say, Linda, you are in my thoughts and prayers, and best of luck on Tuesday, and I'm sure everything will be fine. Let's see now, and we'll try to keep you cheery during that time. Okay, this question is from MH1953H. Do the Colorado police consider the Watts case completely closed, or could they be quietly investigating a possible involvement with the mistress? Also, did Shanann Watts ever say she was afraid of her husband? Seems odd in a family situation for a husband to go from zero to murder. Okay. The investigation, here's the thing. Like I said, the last time you had that investigation that was closed where the husband was believed to be eaten by alligators, and then it opened up again when his friend came forward and gave them some information about being involved in that. If something happens like that in a situation with someone that's not already, charged, of course it can open up a case. So, yeah, I mean, that can happen. Are they actively investigating it right now? Sorry if you hear my kids, and my little ones have a cough, and so that's, if you hear that coughing, that's my little kids there. But, yeah, I mean, Do they have an active investigation? Not that I know of. But again, if new evidence comes forward, if someone comes forward talking or saying something and it's real, of course, just the way that someone that's in prison for something can be exonerated if something comes out, like DNA evidence and stuff, to show a wrongful conviction, yeah, it'll open up again. So, of course, something can be reopened again. Is it actively being investigated? I don't know. You know, they could be keeping something under wraps. They could be watching something. We don't know. You know, they definitely, they're not going to tell us if they're doing that. That's the thing. Okay, that was from MH 1953H. Okay. Laura Kenney. Okay, is the CW case closed because of his plea, or do you think possible suspects may still be followed up on? Well, that's just like MH 1953? Yeah, same answer there. If new evidence comes forward, if people come forward with new information, then yes, it can be reopened. It's not going to be reopened for him because he's convicted, but if it came with new information on someone else, yes. I mean, according to things that have happened in the past, yes, that's what usually is the case. Okay, so Laura, yes, I mean, as far as I'm concerned and what I've seen in the past, yes, they can be opened up again if evidence comes forward for someone else to be investigated, if there's clear evidence that someone else was involved or did something illegal regarding that, yes. And just like that alligator case of the husband and being deemed accidental and then being open to a homicide, new trial, 2 people convicted, husband, the friend of the husband and the wife, both guilty. Okay, so we have M. Hank. Does CW get visitation and phone rights? If so, will it be available to the public who visits him? Will telephone calls be recorded? Okay, so Dodge Correctional Institution is a maximum security prison located in Waupun, Wisconsin. Okay, so the visiting hours at the Dodge Correctional Institute, all visitors must have an approved visitation application on file before they can visit. Inmates are allowed a maximum of 5 visitors per visit. Children under the age of 5 do not count towards this number. Inmates in assessment and evaluation are only allowed 4 immediate family members on their visiting list. Offenders in the general population are allowed up to 12 visitors on their visitation list. Visitors can bring up to $15 in coin into the visiting room for use in the vending machines. Paper money is not allowed. Inmates are allowed 2 visits per week. Visits are 2 hours in duration and occur on weekdays from 3 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. and on Saturdays and Sundays and holidays from 8:30 a.m. to 3:45. General population inmates are allowed 3 visits per week. Visits on weekends are up to 3 hours in duration and 2 hours long on the weekends. Okay, processing of visitors stops between 12 p.m. and 12:30 p.m. on weekends and between 5:15 and 5:45 on weekdays to complete the inmate count. At no time can inmate receive incoming calls. They can, however, make outgoing calls to friends and family members. If your telephone service provider will not bill collect calls, you can sign up for an account through CenturyLink website or over the phone. All phone calls are recorded and monitored. 3-way calling, call forwarding, and call waiting may result in the call terminating. Okay, so there we have the answer for, who is that? M. Hank. There's your answer, M. Hank. Okay, Penny Lane. Hi, Mommy. Hi, Penny. Just wondering if you think in NK's interview with detectives, do you think that was Nick's lawyer, not her father? Seems odd they have footage of her first interview and no footage with her dad. Seems strange to me if she does not get immunity. If she did not get immunity, that would be why we can see the dad lawyer. Thanks, Mommy. Oh, thanks, Mommy, for your videos. You rock. Thanks, Penny. You rock too. No, I don't think it was her lawyer. I think it was her dad. And I just think he was acting, all tough and don't stop bleeding. Maybe he's an armchair lawyer. There's a lot of those, and he's not a lawyer. I know that someone had said that he was a lawyer. He's not a lawyer. Yeah, he's just acting as one. There was something wrong with cameras in some of the vids, but maybe because I know Chris's first part of his interview, there was something with a camera not working, and it could just be possible that she didn't have to have a camera interview, or that something was wrong with it. Maybe he didn't want one. Maybe he said, "I'm here. I don't want the video." I don't know. I could look into that, but no, he's not a lawyer. He was just, pounding his chest, and they were puffing out his chest, whatever you want to say, and just, don't lead, and he was just looking out for her, I guess. Okay, so that was Penny Lane. Okay, so you hear my son, okay, right? That's who you hear there. He's talking with Fortnite, in case you hear something, so. Okay, Julie, 23. I'm very curious about the Watts' family financial situation. Any thoughts? Well, yeah, I mean, there were troubles. There were troubles due to the medical bills. I discussed that in another video. So there were a lot of medical bills from having their adenoids removed, having ear tubes put in. There was a lot of allergy testing. Then Shanann had the cervical surgery, which was very expensive. And, besides the insurance, I think that they said $25,000. So there were many medical bills there. And then she had, with Cece, she was on bed rest and all of that. So I think that they fell behind, and then she started with Thrive, and the first year she wasn't making very much. The second year she was, so they had to, do a lot of backtracking. But the house payment was very high. They were delinquent on the homeowners association, and they were going to be in court. I think it was like the 24th or something of August because of that. And that's why the house is being sold at auction. So yeah, the house was a little more than they can chew. The school was very, very expensive. I believe it was $2,500 a month to have the two girls there, and it was more than, I guess it was daycare and school. But I don't know. Bella would have been, if she would have been of the age to go to kindergarten public. Not exactly sure when the cutoff is in Colorado, but I think she would have missed it because I think she would have missed it even in New York. It's in December, but I think it's like December 6th, and I believe she was like the 17th, right? So yeah, I don't know. So she was in kindergarten over there, I guess, if it was true kindergarten, but it was still pretty pricey. So they had a lot to chew, and that's why they were looking to downsize and kind of relieve themselves of that stuff. Okay. This is Kristen Blank. Okay, Kristen. For the Peterson case, did they even test the blowpoke or check for any kind of blood on it? They couldn't find the blowpoke for a long time, and then they brought it into court, and they showed that it was like encrusted in cobwebs and everything. And I don't think they ever tested it, but just showed that it was there. At that point, they passed it around the jury with the other one, and I don't think any testing was done on it, and they were thinking about bringing it or not. Let's just see. We'll see if it. I don't think so, but let me double check. It says it wasn't bent in any way. Plus, it was tested for blood, and nothing was found. I don't think there was any blood found on it. It looks like it says tested, and there was no blood found on it. So I think that's why. Okay, Jenny Everlyn says, do I think, so I can't, this is just what I think, NK still communicates with CW either by mail, phone, or in person. I don't think she does. I think she's looking on moving on. Keely Monahan, this is a guess now. She wants me to have a guess. Keely Monahan. Do you have any guess when Chris Watts and NK's plan went from divorce to murder? Or was it always murder? If they decided while Shanann and kids were in North Carolina, are there any clues as to when? July, August. The week Shanann was back home in August? Thanks. No, I don't have any idea, because it would just be purely speculation, because I don't know anything about that. It's very plausible that when Shanann was coming back that things got more tenuous, because she felt that he wasn't going to be able to see her as much, and he had to make some decision there. Now, what they talked about, we don't know, because they either used burner phones or they never retrieved the text or what. So everything could be just speculation on that. But I think her returning was a big factor, because then I just think that it would cause NK to feel very put out and jealous, and so to push for something to change. Okay. Guys, keep adding to these questions because we need more questions. And then take a look around so you're not asking the same question. Okay, Tina Conroy said, love your channel, and I've been watching you since this whole Chris Watts case started. People have asked this question before, but in one of NK's interviews with the detective and her father present, came about last night or the day before that his friend of the family in town, Jerry, it came up about the night or day before about this friend of the family in town, Jerry, calling, just wondering if he was very technically minded and was called in to do a cleanup. They both got very antsy when the detective wanted to know more about this Jerry. Oh, don't bring Jerry into this. He's a family friend. I'm just laughing because I was like, did I miss it? But I think you mean Jim. Okay? Yeah, he's a family friend. I think he needs more looking into. Yeah, Jim is a geologist, and he's mutual friends with Charlotte Nelson. There are pictures of his Facebook account. His last name is Gutowski, Gutoski. And if you search that, you'll probably find some images with his old Facebook account before it was cleansed. But now it's scrubbed down, everything's locked down after they did that social media damage control with her dad. So, like I said, I'm surprised we don't see someone, like finding Jim and, hey, Jim, and striking up a friendship with him, taking him out, with Charlotte. But they were mutual friends on Facebook, and the last time I looked, he was still on Facebook. His profile was just locked down, very private. So you might still be able to find him there. I haven't looked for him in a while. If you live in the area, maybe look him up, see if you can nonchalantly start a friendship. Maybe he's selling stuff on the marketplace, Craigslist, I don't know. Yeah, he should have had some, I think that, they interviewed every coworker, they interviewed her friends. I don't know why someone that came into town on the day that they were missing that they didn't interview. I don't understand that. I just don't. And for her to say so adamantly, don't bring Jim into this. Okay, wait, you want to interview Jim? Yeah. No, she said don't bring him into this. All right, then just scratch that off. It's kind of weird. Yes, that's from Tina Conroy. Sarah Z says, in your opinion, how big of a role do you think Cindy plays in Chris's influence into killing Shanann and the precious girls, versus him just wanting to live the new life with NK, versus him just being a straight up narcissist with a lack of emotion and empathy like his mother? I know we will never know exactly why he did this, but I wonder what's the biggest driver in all this. This is more of an opinion type question. Okay. It's definite that Chris needs a strong woman in his life. He went from his mother to Shanann and then to an even stronger woman, NK. He's the kind of person that, like I told you, he needs direction. Without it, he's lost. To think about living alone without that type of strong direction, I think that's why we see a lot of things when I didn't know what to do kind of thing with him, and looking up the way that he should feel and what he should do. And I think he definitely 100% needed that. And now Cindy's influence in it, if she had been pressuring him or making him feel bad for the choice between her and Shanann, then yes, it could have been a real factor, could have been just caused a lot of turmoil. I said I think not going to the wedding added undue stress, and that they should have gone to the wedding, and that's how I feel. They should have sucked it up and went to the wedding. They should have went to the other occasions. And by not doing so, it was putting undue stress on this new couple. And why would you want to cause that type of turmoil in your child's marriage, even if you didn't like their spouse, even if you fought with their spouse, whatever? This is still your child getting married. So I think that you should suck it up as a parent and go. And try to overcome it as the bigger person, because you are older, have more experience, and you should try and set the example and move forward. So that's my thought on it. Now, what he definitely had something that covert narcissism, where he was devoid of emotion. That's number one. He didn't know how to express emotion, number two, and just the way he feels, or looks like he feels, no remorse for what he did. So sociopath, a lot of those things are fitting. He needs a full psychiatric evaluation, and I don't know why they haven't done it if they haven't. But that's my opinion on that, Sarah Z. Okay, we'll take two more. Allison Rogers says, "Hey mommy, my question is this. So many YouTube crime sleuths have been accusing NK. What reason could CW have to protect her and not throw her under the bus? Love, perhaps? But he must have known when all this came out that the woman would not love him, so why protect her? I think personally that it points to she is a despicable human being, dead set on ruining another woman's marriage, but that she did not directly get involved in the murders. What do you think? Love your channel. Huge fan. XX." Okay, so I explained this yesterday when I answered this question. I think there's a lot of strong emotions around NK, and it's a variety of reasons. First of all, and anyone that's dealt with someone coming into their marriage, either breaking it apart, we're not talking about murder and everything, because that usually is not the case, but just another woman coming in, if someone's experienced that, they're going to have very strong feelings against her for just doing that, because it's like, it's that code that, you're not supposed to do that. Now, if someone had truly been duped, if their marriage was truly over and they just, look at Peterson, like we just said, he was separated from his wife. He was technically still married to his wife, but he began another relationship with a woman, and then as soon as they got divorced, he got married. There are many things like that. There are protracted divorces, estrangements, people that it's very difficult for them to get a divorce even if they're living separately. And someone to come into, to say, put your life on hold for 8 years, 10 years while you're living separately because you can't do this is, not feasible for most people. So that would be an entirely different situation. But someone that is in the home with the spouse and the kids, as Shanann was, except she went to North Carolina, but she was there, and it was very evident on social media that they were together and not estranged. Even though he told her what he told her, if he did, right? It doesn't take a genius to figure out he's lying to her. It just takes a little bit of social media, and Shanann's page was public. So that should have been enough to question that. So I think that's where a lot of animosity comes, because people feel like she knew, and at one point she's saying she wanted him to repair the marriage, and then there was evidence of her sending the semi-naked selfies and the naked selfies and all of that to his calculator app. So there's a lot of animosity just in that in general, and then I think especially you're seeing an animosity in anyone that's been in that situation where another woman has come into the marriage, okay? That's one. I think you're also seeing another dynamic from those ones that are saying, leave her alone, it's not her fault, he duped her. I think a lot of those that you're seeing might have been women that have been involved in a situation like that, okay? They've been like NK. Maybe they've went willingly into something they knew wasn't broken. Maybe they were duped, or whatever it is, and they might carry some guilt. It might have happened 20 years ago, 30 years ago, but whatever. Maybe they carry some guilt, and when they see people attacking her, they project it onto themselves and are just like, leave her alone, she made a mistake, it's not her fault, it's not this, it's not that. And I think that you see that. You also see, others that are just feel that she definitely was the catalyst here, and they feel that if she wasn't there, it wouldn't happen. So all of that emotion of not having Shanann, not having the kids here, is projected onto her, because it's like, oh, you did this because you wouldn't stop pushing him, you wouldn't walk away from him, you should have just, gone. So you've got a lot of very strong emotions there, and that's why I think it brings up a lot of very strong discussion. That's Allison Rogers. We'll take one more. Rosalind Gogol, or is it Gojol? My questions are about the Watts case. Almost everyone is. This is what I say. People say, I do some other cases, but every question I get is about the Watts case. Make sure you put new questions in there. They used the dog to go through the house, and the handler was hard to hear. But she had some comments about the basement area near the front door. What does this type of dog pick up on? And what do you think happened in those places? Mostly the basement. It's a long way from the bedrooms. Okay. I did go over this in another video. The dogs that they had in there, they had rescue dogs and they had cadaver dogs. And the dogs were hitting on an area under the basement stairs. And they were hitting, I believe it was under Cece's bed, and I believe they were hitting, but then they brought in another dog, and it really wasn't confirmed. They didn't find anything, I don't think, in the garage and in the rest of the house. It wasn't by the front door, but it was by the basement stairs, and they said they thought there had been trauma or a situation that happened there. But then when they brought in the second dog, it wasn't confirmed. It's in another video where I went into depth in what that was. But yeah, I mean, they did hit around something around that bed in the basement downstairs. They were going around there too, at least one of them. And the other one was like inconclusive. It was not as conclusive as they would have, I guess, have liked. But still, enough to raise some concern. And like I said, you can go back to that other video. I'm going to try to index the videos because they cover a lot of things so that I can tell you exactly which one to go back into, because I do discuss that at length. Alright. Also, could the woman he was having an affair with be sued by the family for her part in coming into the marriage, regardless if it was happy or deteriorating, as it seems that she took an interest in him many months before? Okay. We thought maybe she would be brought into the wrongful death suit, even though it was against him, but she would be brought in as a witness, but he's not going to respond. He didn't respond to that. So they're going to get a default judgment, and there's going to be no civil trial. Okay? So, yeah, I think it's very unlikely that she would be named in a wrongful death case, because he's the one that's convicted, and to get her, they'd have to have some substantial proof, and I don't think they have that because they don't even have a confession. So no, I don't think that's going to happen. And yeah, that's it. Thanks, Ross, I don't want to say your name wrong. And that you're under the screen name Rosalind. Okay, Rosalind Gogol, or is it Gojol? Okay. So that's it for questions, and let's see. What did we go through today? Okay, so Peterson, and I told you about the theft, and I told you about the email, and about the money problems. I might do something about a Black Widow type case that happened in New York, not too far from me, and then I might do two that happened in that same city of Syracuse. So we have Black Widow one, and we have another one that one of our, now I'm going to think of her name, Charlene, was that you? Brought up to me to do. So yeah, they both occur in Syracuse, and then I am gathering information on the Golden State Killer, BTK. My files are getting bigger, and I'll bring those to you as I have a good amount of information to do an initial dump on those, and then we'll move forward. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to say. I don't know, I think that's it right now. I want to get this up. Please put in some more questions. You can just keep adding to those so that I have, because a lot of them are redundant and I've answered them. So yeah, go ahead and put some down there. And let's see, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, and I want to look into Todd, because Todd had to have some issues. And I know I read about some issues on Todd. So I'm fairly certain I did. Could be a little bit wrong, but I think I did. So I'm going to go into that and in the Peterson case, and that's probably, I don't know, I think Peterson after that, we'll probably wrap that up unless anybody, if you want to hear something more in that Peterson case, there is a wrongful death suit that Caitlin, the daughter, filed, but I don't think she's received any money on it. And that's about the crux of that. All right, so I will let you go. We'll definitely be right on that Berreth case the whole time. And yeah, watch about Crystal and the pregnancy, okay? All right, take care now. Let's see whose baby it is, and that's added a lovely twist to the story, okay? All right, take care now. Bye-bye.